I think what's driving it is the use of postmodernism and neo-Marxism. So postmodernism is this idea that reality is subjective and that your subjective point of view is just a reflection of your class status, right? So this is what led to these ideas of like, oh, you can't say that because you've got white male privilege, so you can't commentate because your point of view is just a reflection of your power, right? And so this is being taught in universities as a fact, when I don't know if psychology or anything actually backs this up. So I saw this coaster, which was really interesting. What it says is, it says, myth, there's nothing wrong with a sexist joke. And in big letters, fact, sexist jokes are a reflection of sexist attitudes. Gender stereotypes underpins violence against women. I felt this was interesting that it was printed on a coaster. Have a guess why I think this is a bit ironic that this message was printed on a coaster. Sexist jokes reflect sexist attitudes. Gender stereotypes underpins violence against women. It underpins it. Do you know what a coaster underpins? Alcohol. Do you think alcohol might be a bigger factor in domestic violence than sexist jokes? All right, this coaster is underpinning something that is probably a bigger contribution to violence against women than fucking jokes, right? Like, I've known a lot of people who unfortunately grew up in households where domestic violence was happening. I've never heard anyone tell me, you know, when we were kids, we would hear dad coming home from the pub laughing after he heard a few sexist jokes. And boy, us kids and mum would get it. How effective do you think this is going to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got a men's referral service number at the bottom of it. Do you think this is a message that people want to hear? Like, people go through their whole lives being told what to do. And they're going to be like, oh, great, now a coaster's telling me what to do. What kind of message is this? Do you know what I mean? What kind of guy is going to respond to this? Like, particularly a dude who is perpetrating domestic violence. Like, is he going to be like, well, I better dob myself in. Hello? I've been a bad boy. I've been a naughty, naughty boy. Like, no one's going to call this number. This is the dumbest propaganda I've ever seen in my life. The only reason this exists is because you've got a bunch of people who have been indoctrinated in university courses where they only teach Marxism and postmodernism instead of marketing. And then they come out with their useless degrees and then they get a job in the public sphere and then they bring their ideology to real problems and their ideology can't work. All right? Okay. And the reason why more Christians report seeing Jesus' face in burnt toast than atheists report seeing Charles Darwin's face in burnt toast is because you project your beliefs onto reality, all right? These ideologues are projecting their beliefs onto this coaster and go, oh, it looks great to me, Susan. What do you think, Sarah? Oh, I think it looks real good. I think sexist jokes are really, really mean. And I think they need to stop. And then we can have utopia. Alcohol abuse, poverty, childhood neglect and abuse are bigger factors in causing people to be perpetrators of domestic violence than a joke. There's actually research to suggest that racist and sexist jokes can actually relieve the tensions between differences and help bridge the gap, as well as evidence that it can actually reinforce racism and sexism. So they only can see the negative in things. They can only see the shadow, that everything's oppression. Like if you had a bunch of leftist gender studies students and you took them to the Large Hadron Collider and you got them to try and explain the phenomenon of the Large Hadron Collider, they would go, well, why is this happening? Why do the particles behave this way? Oh, because of oppression. Great. Well done. You've solved the riddles of the universe. Everything is oppression. Well done. The other thing about this kind of thinking gets in the way of solving the real problems, right? Okay? Like these narratives are stupid. Like, they'll go, oh, look at the amount of women who die from domestic violence this year. Yeah, it's any number is too high. For the last 10 years, the rates of domestic violence have been getting lower and lower and lower. Actually, 20 years. Lower and lower and lower each year. Okay? Is that because our evil white supremacist colonial patriarchy capitalist system funds people to work full-time in the service sector? So you have social workers, psychologists, police, judges, courts, prisons, all working non-stop to solve this issue. Is it the system that is so evil that is reducing the rates of domestic violence? And not to mention the economic stability of our evil society here in Australia. That couldn't possibly be causing the rates to lower. No, what it really is a bunch of 20-year-old feminists with a ball cut hair dyed green, waving their finger up in the air and bringing it back down to the keyboard. That's what's lowering the rates of domestic violence. It's when they shame people for saying a joke that they think might be sexist. That's what's really fighting the battle. You're heroes. You're heroes. You're a hero out there. When you get on Facebook and someone says something you don't like, they make a comment like, boy, it takes ages for my girlfriend and all the other women I know to get ready to go out. You know, oh, that's evil. Evil. Evil, 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 evil. It's fucking madness. It's dopey dribble. This is mind slop, right? This is what happens when you take the notion you no longer need to debate with people. Your brain gets atrophied, right? It's like if you don't use your legs, you end up, the muscles will wither away and you're in a wheelchair. This is what's happened to my generation. And there's no legitimate left wing. It's just muddled headed goop where you think you're saving the world by putting a fucking coaster, right? Like this is the equivalent of like getting a crack pipe that facilitates methamphetamine use and then writing on the crack pipe, sexist jokes underpins violence against women, right? But here, smoke some meth because I'm sure that's not going to contribute to anyone being violent. It's dopey, all right? Why don't you get a knife or a gun and you put sexist jokes can cause shooting rampages? Like it's dopey. You people are idiots. You're idiots. Muddled-headed, lazy, feel-good nonsense, okay? This is the instant gratification. You get to feel you're relating to a serious problem without actually having to do any of the real work. Ideologies like the late-night weight loss commercial. They're selling easy answers to people. Oh, look at me. Ever since I became a feminist, I lost 6 friends in just 6 weeks. You're misdirecting resources that could actually go to helping people. Instead, you're pissing everyone off with your stupid fucking nonsense. You know who's promoting stereotypes against women? The feminist movement that is making coasters that are so intellectually vapid that they encourage people to think that maybe women aren't so smart because you're making dumb shit like this coaster. All right? Okay, and look what's on the back of the coaster. It says, speak out against sexism. It's okay to say, I don't think that's funny. Well, what kind of women do you think exist out there in a woman? Okay, the kind of women I'm hanging out, one of my best friends is the Muay Thai champion for Australia, right? In one of the divisions, right? Okay, she can stand up for herself. You're treating women like these virtuous infants. You're the one who thinks women are weak. You're the one who thinks they're inferior because evidently women are so pathetic in the society, they need a fucking coaster to tell them they can say no to something. What world do you live in? This is lunacy. You feel good self pat on the back you're just fucking idiots. Go home. Carl Jung said, don't listen to people's motivations, what they say their motivations are. Ask yourself, is their actual motivations a way for them to be lazy? And then secondly, malevolent, right? Now ask yourself, at these protests against Milo Yiannopoulos at these Berkeley campuses, is this people engaging in the hard work of trying to formulate strong arguments against what he's saying and then working hard to put those arguments in the public sphere? And they're sitting in the library reading multiple books back and forth, writing notes, developing it, going to do the hard work, going out there in public, risking criticism, saying their views? Or is it a lot easier to basically try to run around in a fit of orgy of hate and violence wearing a mask? Okay? What's harder? What's harder? What's a more benevolent and harder thing to do? Right? These people are fucking lazy and malevolent, and they're using social justice as a mask to hide the fact that they're just lazy, malevolent people, and they've just jumped on an ideological train. Thanks for watching, everyone. On the 30th of October, I'm doing another show of Blaze Against the Machine about addiction, the war on drugs and psychedelics at the Bearded Lady. There's an event for that in the description. And on the 12th of November, I'm doing a comedy debate, man versus feminist. with my friend Emily McCool, who's a very funny woman. If you're inclined, feel free to go to my Patreon. If you feel like giving me $5 a month, you'll get to decide a video topic that I talk about, if you're inclined to do that. Also selling mind condoms, because ideology is, as you know, just as big of a killer as AIDS. So if you want to buy a mind condom, you'll see it being modeled here by stand-up comedian Con Williams is modeling that.